Welcome to Light Novel Sound, where we bring your favorite light novels to life through immersive audiobooks that you can listen to for free. Today, we're diving into Solo Farming in the Tower, a fantasy adventure written by Lee Hak-young and originally published on lightnovelworld.co. This story follows Sejun, an ordinary young man who stumbles into a mysterious dungeon filled with dangerous monsters and untold riches. But when he gets trapped in a hidden area with nothing but a handful of seeds, he must rely on his wits, resourcefulness, and determination to survive. Will he turn the odds in his favor, or will the tower claim yet another victim? If you enjoy this audiobook, please consider supporting the original author by reading Solo Farming in the Tower on lightnovelworld.co. Every bit of support helps keep these amazing stories going. And if you like what we do, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your engagement helps us bring more incredible stories to life. Now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the journey. Chapter 31. New family members are born. TL, Hanguk. Why won't the tower open? A man in his 50s with black hair and a hearty face looked angrily at the inactive portal. It had been 10 years and 3 days since his granddaughter Eileen's last seizure, but the portal remained unchanged. Lord, please calm down. A man in his 30s with the same black hair and a hearty but beautiful face spoke to the man in his 50s. How can I calm down when I can't see our Eileen? Father, please maintain your dignity. The other dragons are watching. Anton, who had prepared precious medicines to treat Eileen, spoke quietly as he looked at the dozens of dragons from the Pratani family waiting behind him. They were both members of the Pratani family, with Kaiser Pratani as its head and Anton Pratani as his son and Eileen's father. Who cares? Aren't all these dragons worried about Eileen too? Eileen also has our Pratani blood. She will overcome the seizures. Anton spoke coldly as if it was someone else's business. Anton, Eileen is your daughter. No dragon will say anything if you show concern. Kaiser felt frustrated and sorry seeing Anton's cold treatment of his own daughter, Eileen, due to the gazes of the other dragons in the family. The dragons of the Pratani family had made many sacrifices to save Eileen, a hatchling. The Black Tower's administrator space was originally where the dragons of the Pratani family took turns to rest and gain strength. The abundant magic in the Black Tower's administrator space made the dragons stronger just by being there, but the dragons of the Pratani family gave all those privileges to Eileen. Moreover, the dragons of the Pratani family were running around in all directions to find medicinal ingredients to treat Eileen. Unable to show concern for his daughter due to guilt towards the dragons sacrificing so much for Eileen, Anton remained cold. In such a situation, the Black Tower was not opening, and they even had to wait for several days, which increased Anton's feeling of guilt. And they couldn't send them back either. Whenever Eileen had a seizure, dozens of dragons had to pour in mana along with medicine to balance her physical imbalance. Did something good happen to Eileen's dragon heart? If so, it would be a real relief. Anton couldn't be happy about the portal not opening when he saw the dragons waiting behind him. For now, we'll wait here until the tower opens. Yes. Kaiser, who had issued the order, looked back at the portal. Is our granddaughter eating well? Kaiser was worried about his granddaughter, unaware that Eileen had recently become a foodie. The tomato field with the bountiful harvest activated. Suddenly, additional flowers began to bloom rapidly on the tomato branches. And then, buzz buzz. The poison honeybees approached the newly bloomed flowers and sucked the nectar. So, this is how they increase the yield by 50%. Sejun had thought that the 50% increase in harvest would come as an additional items, but it was different from his expectation. Occasionally, flowers bloomed on the branches, so Sejun had to pick each cherry tomato one by one in the field. However, he had no complaints as he knew that each flower would soon produce a cherry tomato if he just waited a bit. After harvesting the cherry tomatoes, Theo, you'll be the representative for the next week. Sejun said to Theo, who had taken his place at his bedside before he went to bed. Since he had acquired the incredible relic, St. Patrick's straw hat, this benefit was natural to Sejun. He honestly wanted to extend the period, but refrained from doing so as not to decrease the value of being a representative. Really, meow? You're making me the representative for a whole week, meow? Theo couldn't believe he was made the representative for a whole week without doing anything special. Theo had no idea he had a golden hand. Snore. While Theo was touched, Sejun had already fallen asleep. Swish. Theo, who had been at Sejun's bedside, got up and lay down on Sejun's stomach. And then, with a purr. Feeling the stability from Sejun's moving stomach, Theo soon fell asleep as well. In the tranquil cave where everyone was deep asleep. Squeak! The scream of the wife rabbit echoed in the cave. The wife rabbit's labor had begun. Squeak! Sejun wasn't too surprised since he had experienced this before, but... What's going on, meow? Squeak! Squeak! Theo and the baby rabbits were not. It's okay. Your siblings are coming. Sejun sat up and calmed Theo and the rabbits. Squeak! Squeak! The baby rabbits clung to Sejun's legs and anxiously looked at the cave where the rabbit couple was. And then, shivering. Theo was terrified, hiding between Sejun's legs and cowering in fear. He was really a coward. After about an hour. Squeak! Squeak! The faint cries of the newborn baby rabbits came from the rabbit couple's cave. Squeak! The husband rabbit ran out of the cave to announce the birth of the new rabbits. However, snore, gurgle, squeak. Sejun, Theo, and the rabbits had fallen asleep leaning on each other while waiting. On the 179th day of being stranded, new cave family members were born at dawn. Early morning. Roar! The baby bear stuck his head out of the hole in the cave ceiling and announced his presence, and the baby bear's cry echoed throughout the cave. At the same time, squeak! Squeak! As if responding, the cries of the baby rabbits came from the rabbit couple's cave. Roar? When the cub bear was looking puzzled at the unfamiliar sound that he heard for the first time. Squeak! The husband rabbit, who had just managed to put the baby rabbits to sleep and finally fell asleep himself, shouted in anger. Share! Sejun, awakened from sleep, hushed the baby bear by putting his index finger to his mouth. Sejun added a line to the wall and quietly prepared breakfast. The rabbits also moved quietly, looking at the rabbit couple's cave from time to time. Sejun picked 2 grilled fish, a handful of green onions leaf, and 2 carrots, and placed them in front of the rabbit couple's cave. Then, the breakfast continued. Everyone had a tired face from not getting enough sleep, mechanically putting food in their mouths and chewing. All right, let's get to work now. Bye-up. The 5 white rabbits went to the field with their farm tools, whispering in unison. Buying. Knowing that they were short on hands, the black rabbit also went out to help its siblings. And, let's go too. Sejun picked up Theo and stood up. Here? What does that mean, meow? Where are we going, meow? Theo, held in Sejun's hand, asked with a puzzled look. Remember what we did last time? When I cut the branches of the cherry tomatoes, you just pick the tomatoes and put them in the basket. It might be difficult for other rabbits, but it's too easy for our representative Theo, right Theo? Sejun spoke as he placed Theo down next to the cherry tomato field. Of course, meow. It's too easy for Representative Theo, meow. Theo, who had been unexpectedly drawn into farming work, got excited by Sejun's encouragement. Even though the rabbit couple was absent, Sejun's increased stats allowed him to work faster, and with the help of the black rabbit and Theo, they managed to finish all the morning tasks. In the middle of the work, Theo decided to show off his dignity as representative and neatly cut green onion leaves with his claws, surprising Sejun. As a result, Theo ended up in charge of cutting green onion leaves as well. At lunchtime, they placed food in front of the rabbit couple's cave and all went up to the surface to eat together. The food that Sejun had placed in front of the rabbit couple's cave in the morning had disappeared, taken by them at some point. Lunchtime was very quiet and peaceful. After giving 3 spoonful honey to the baby bear as dessert, Sejun also had coffee and took a break. Theo and the black rabbit naturally climbed onto Sejun's lap, and the bear cub hugged Sejun and began to nap. On the 181st day of being stranded, 2 days had passed since the birth of the baby rabbits. And tomorrow will be the 7th blue moon since Sejun got stranded. Perhaps due to the blue moon that will rise from midnight today, the mother crimson giant bear didn't bring the bear cub. Thanks to that, Sejun and the rabbits were able to wake up at their usual time for the first time in a while. All right. As Sejun got up and placed the sleeping Theo next to him, he drew a line on the cave wall. Squeak! Squee! The rabbit couple, leaving their still sleeping baby rabbits behind, came out of their cave and greeted the morning. And, bye! Bye! Rabbits that had now become older brothers and sisters also came out of their caves and greeted each other. Yeah. Good morning. Today, Sejun and the rabbits hurried their work. They wanted to finish their tasks as quickly as possible to prepare for the blue moon. Representative Theo, wake up. I want to sleep more. Sejun placed Theo in front of the green onion leaves and, with a swish, he went to the field to cut the cherry tomato branches and started harvesting. You have simultaneously harvested 8 well-ripened magical cherry tomatoes. Your job experience has increased slightly. Your proficiency in harvesting LV4 has increased slightly. Due to the effect of proficiency increase LV1, your proficiency in harvesting LV4 has increased by an additional 5%. You have gained 160 experience points. I will show you the dignity of Representative Theo. Rustle, rustle. Theo, who had woken up from his sleep, took out his claws, cut the green onion leaves, and showed off his abilities to the sickle rabbit and the cart rabbit. The day passed quickly like this. As evening came, the rabbits went into the cave, closed the entrance, and prepared for the blue moon. The poison bees also closed the entrance to the hive to prepare for the blue moon. And, Representative Theo, what are you doing? I'm going in here to avoid the blue moon. Theo began to squeeze himself into the entrance of the bag. It turned out the bag had more features than expected. Representative Theo, take this with you as well. Sejun entrusted Theo with the poison queen bee's cocoon, just in case. Soon after, the blue moon began. Roar! The roar of the crimson giant bear echoed. I wonder if the mother crimson giant bear and the cub are all right. As Sejun worried about the crimson giant bear. Thud! 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 Something was approaching the cave. What is it? Clink! Sejun tensed up and gripped the dagger in his hand. He hurriedly put on earplugs, ate 10 D-grade magical cherry tomatoes at once, and increased his magic by 2. Roar! A monster roared above the cave. It was a roar he had never heard before. Sejun barely managed to hold onto his fading consciousness and came to his senses. Fortunately, the monster went on a rampage above the cave and then ran towards the roar of another monster. Phew! As Sejun sighed in relief and relaxed his tense body. Swish! A blue light began to form on the trees in the cherry tomato field that was experiencing a bountiful harvest. The blue light filled the cherry tomatoes along the stem, turning them blue. How many are there? There were more than 10 at a rough count. Even the cherry tomatoes containing the energy of the blue moon had a bountiful harvest. As Sejun was looking at the cherry tomatoes with joy. Swoosh! A blue light began to form in another field as well. Hey! That's... Though he wanted to quickly harvest and taste them, he had been patiently waiting for the corn to ripen in the cornfield. The blue light gathered on the corn leaves and settled on the corn. Hooray! Sejun couldn't shout because the blue moon hadn't ended yet, but he raised his hands to the sky, expressing his uncontrollable excitement. On the 182nd day of being stranded. Today's breakfast is corn. Chapter 32, Harvesting Corn. TL, Hangak. As the blue moon ended, the the monsters of the 99th floor, who had been rampaging, returned to their own areas. And the Black Minotaur King, who guarded the waypoint of the 99th floor, began to take a roll call of his subordinates. This was because occasionally there were ones who wandered into the territories of other monsters and failed to return. Minotaur 1, Minotaur 2, Minotaur 3. While the Minotaur King was checking his subordinates, clang clang, he noticed something hanging on the horn of Minotaur 1303. Him? The Minotaur King asked his subordinate. Minotaur 1303, what's that? However, him? The subordinate seemed unaware that something was hanging on his horn and asked the Minotaur King in return. Boss, what? Him. A warrior who doesn't even know what's attached to his body. The Minotaur King, frustrated by the reaction of his subordinate, personally removed the object stuck on the subordinate's horn. It was a plant with green leaves and orange roots. It was clear that Minotaur 1303 had been digging into the ground with his horns during the blue moon. The Minotaur King bypassed Minotaur 1303 and continued to check the rest. Minotaur 3000. Fortunately, there were no missing subordinates. Thud. Thud. The Minotaur King returned to his spot in front of the waypoint on the 99th floor. And while he was passing the time, sniff sniff, a delicious smell wafted in the air. Him? The Minotaur King turned his gaze towards the source of the smell. The plant that he had removed from his subordinate's horn was in his hand. Why didn't I throw this away? But that wasn't important. The Minotaur King put the plant in his mouth and chewed. Chew chew. Munch munch. The orange root provided a good texture and sweetness, and the stem was soft enough to be swallowed easily. Hem. The Minotaur King quickly called Minotaur 1303. Where did you get this? As soon as the blue moon ended, Sejun called out Theo from his storage bag to scout outside. There's no one around, meow. Good. You've done well. Theo reported to Sejun and then went to sleep inside Sejun's blanket. Meanwhile, Sejun started to move busily. The first place Sejun headed to was the cornfield. Pop. He broke off a blue corn cob covered with green leaves. You have harvested stamina corn containing the energy of the blue moon. Your job experience increases. Your proficiency in harvesting LV4 increases. Due to the effect of proficiency increase LV1, your proficiency in harvesting LV4 increases by an additional 5%. You have gained 100 experience points. Stamina corn. The corn was a crop that increased the stamina stat. Stamina corn containing the energy of the blue moon. This is corn grown inside the tower, full of nutrition and delicious. Moreover, it contains the energy of the blue moon, enhancing its flavor. Upon consumption, your stamina permanently increases by 0.1. Cultivator, Tower Farmer Park Sejun. Expiration date, 60 days. Grade, D. Perhaps because it was a D-grade crop, the stat increase was twice that of an E-grade crop. However, who cares? It wasn't important to Sejun at all. The taste was what mattered. Hee. Sejun hummed a little tune as he first plucked the corn silk from the corn. Swish swish. He peeled off the husk of the corn. Then, blue corn kernels that seemed to pop out at a light touch revealed themselves. Wow, look at the shine. The corn was showing a blue glow and tempting him to taste it as if saying, I'm delicious, hurry and eat me. His excitement grew. He wanted to eat it quickly. Here. Unconsciously, Sejun was about to put the fresh corn into his mouth but stopped himself. It could have been a major mishap if he had eaten it even before cooking. Phew. Sejun took a deep breath to calm his excited heart. Thuck thuck. He carefully laid the peeled corn husks one by one in the pot, added an appropriate amount of water, put in the corn, and covered the pot. And then, whoa! He put the pot over the fire and started boiling it. As the water boiled, the space between the corn and the pot created by the husks would steam the corn perfectly. Now, all that was left was to wait for the corn to be cooked to perfection. However, The tower's administrator urges you to keep your promise. There were still some things left to do. All right. I was just about to do it. Sejun went to the cherry tomato field and harvested cherry tomatoes containing the energy of the blue moon. Pop! You have harvested magical cherry tomato containing the energy of the blue moon. Your job experience increases. Your proficiency in harvesting LV4 increases. Due to the effect of proficiency increase LV1, your proficiency in harvesting LV4 increases by an additional 5%. You have gained 100 experience points. Pop! You have harvested magical cherry tomato containing the energy of the blue moon. In total, Sejun harvested 13 cherry tomatoes containing the energy of the blue moon. Such a bumper harvest. He. Sejun smiled as he looked at his hand full of blue cherry tomatoes. Here, take these. Sejun gave 5 blue cherry tomatoes to the tower's administrator. The tower's administrator is grateful to you. The tower's administrator promises to repay you in the future. Sure. He didn't have high expectations. How could he wait for 300 years? This will be delicious. Sejun looked at the cherry tomato in his hand. Since it was a D grade with the energy of the blue moon, it would be even more delicious. However, let's hold back. He decided to resist in order to fully enjoy the flavor of the corn. Sejun got up from his spot and spread the corn silk on his designated sunlit spot to dry well. If the corn silk is well dried, he could make corn silk tea. Now I have one more drinkable beverage. Sejun returned to the fire with a satisfied expression. And while waiting for the corn to be ready, the sweet and savory smell unique to corn began to spread through the gap in the pot lid. 1, 2, 3. Sejun counted 30 seconds in his mind, removed the pot from the fire, and opened the lid. Moderation is key. If he steamed it too much, the corn kernels would burst, so he had to be careful. Whoosh! As soon as he opened the lid, steam and the aroma of corn spread in the air. Wow! Sejun carefully picked up the corn with tongs and put it in his bowl. And then, whoosh, whoosh. In his eagerness to eat quickly, Sejun blew on the corn to cool it down. Is it ready? Sejun touched the corn to check if it was still hot. The corn was hot enough to hold for 1 or 2 seconds. Good. Sejun held the ends of the cooled corn with a husk and snap. Cut it in half. Half of the corn was for the rabbits. Sejun took a bite out of the other half corn. Crunch. Sejun's teeth scooped up the corn kernels like a shovel. Slurp. As the corn kernels decreased, Sejun hastily slurped up the sweet juice flowing from the corn cob. Ah! It's sweet. Crunch, crunch. Having sucked up the sweet juice, Sejun started to chew the corn kernels in earnest. Each kernel was bursting with life. Therefore, as he chewed, they playfully resisted in his mouth before popping out with a crackling sound. Chew, chew. The more he chewed, the more the savory sweetness rose up. Sejun ate the corn passionately, playing it like a harmonica. And then, you have consumed the stamina corn containing the energy of the blue moon. Your stamina permanently increases by 0.1. Before he knew it, Sejun had eaten all the corn including the part that he had left for the rabbits. I can't believe I ate all of it. Sejun made a disbelief expression as he looked at the message in front of him and sucked the remaining sweet juice from the corn cob. But Sejun had already sucked it dry, leaving no more sweet juice to come out. That's a shame. Sejun hastily threw the corn cob and leaves into the fire to destroy the evidence. And as he added another stroke to the wall, starting his morning. Growl. The baby bear quietly announced its arrival, so as not to wake the baby rabbits. Sejun went up to the surface. The arrival of the baby bear meant that the mother crimson giant bear had come, which meant that the surroundings were 100% safe. As he reached the surface, as expected, just as he had predicted, the fields on the surface had been completely trashed by the monster that came during the blue moon. Sejun quickly looked for the mother crimson giant bear. He was worried if she was hurt. From afar, Sejun saw the mother crimson giant bear moving swiftly. Judging from her stride, she didn't appear to be injured. Having confirmed the safety of the mother crimson giant bear, Sejun carefully returned the queen bee's cocoon that he had left with Theo back to its place. And then, "You're not hurt either, are you?" Sejun checked the baby bear's body to see if there were any injuries. Growl. When Sejun examined him, the baby bear thought Sejun was trying to pet him and lay down flat. "That's right. That's right." Sejun petted the baby bear's body, checking all over. Thankfully, there were no injuries. "Here, have some honey." He gave 3 dollops of honey to the baby bear, who must have had a hard time during the blue moon, and as Sejun came back down to the cave, "Peep! Peep!" As if it was time to wake up, the rabbit couple in the cave and squeak! Squeak! Their children who had left the nest came out of the cave to greet him and prepare for the morning farming. "Hop! Hop! Here, eat this." Sejun handed out 1 blue cherry tomato each to the rabbits eating carrots for breakfast. After distributing them all, Sejun didn't have any cherry tomatoes left for himself, but since he had eaten corn, he decided to give in for today. Peep! Beep! Squeak! Squeak! Slurp! 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 The rabbits thanked Sejun and started to enjoy the cherry tomatoes. Peep! 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 In the afternoon, the rabbit couple brought out the 5 baby rabbits from the burrow to show them the world. The curious baby rabbits enthusiastically started exploring their surroundings. At that moment, peep! 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 Something in particular attracted the baby rabbits' attention. Hop! 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 The baby rabbits approached Theo, who was busy eating churu, and started to play on his body. "Why are they doing this to me, meow?" Theo, annoyed by the baby rabbits, got up from his spot and moved to another place. However, peep! 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 The baby rabbits persistently followed Theo. President, the babies keep following me. Please do something, meow." As the baby rabbits kept following, Theo approached Sejun for help. He could have run to the surface, but there was a baby bear on the surface who was eyeing Theo's churu. The baby rabbits have recognized their cool uncle. "That's why they are following you, Representative Theo." "So, I'm the cool uncle, meow?" "Yes, you are." It seemed like they were following him because he was easygoing, but he didn't tell the truth. Someone had to look after the babies. Peep! 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 In the meantime, the baby rabbits followed Theo again. "So that's what you're up to, meow?" This time, Theo didn't run away from the babies. "Follow me, your cool uncle, Representative Theo, meow." Theo started to take the baby rabbits around. "That's a no-no. You can't eat that, meow. Come this way. Fire is dangerous, meow." Surprisingly, Theo took good care of the 5 baby rabbits. Babysitting was added to Representative Theo's duties. And on the 183rd day of being stranded, "I, your cool uncle, will earn a lot of money and come back soon, meow." Peep! 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 Theo, receiving the baby rabbit send-off, went down the tower again. Chapter 33, Feeling the Void. TL, Hanguk. After Theo left for the 38th floor, Sejun and the rabbits finished their morning farming and had lunch. The rabbit couple ate in the cave due to the baby rabbits, and only Sejun and the adult rabbits ate on the surface with the baby bear. Growl. The baby bear ate 30 piranhas and growled, looking at Sejun's grilled fish with regret. It wanted to eat more. As its growth was fast, its appetite was also increasing. "Here." Sejun cut his grilled fish in half and handed it to the baby bear. Growl. The baby bear bowed its head and accepted the grilled fish. It would eat it with great delight. Chomp. Chomp. The baby bear put the grilled fish in its mouth, chewed a few times, and swallowed it whole, bones and all. Then, growl. This time, the baby bear cried while looking at the carrot the black rabbit was eating. It wanted that too. However, squeal. The black rabbit firmly refused. It couldn't give up its carrot. Growl. The rejected baby bear turned away from the black rabbit. It was upset. After lunch. Slurp. Sejun strolled through the ruined field while drinking coffee. Although he had been too dispirited to inspect it when the field he had diligently created was destroyed yesterday, he couldn't always be like that. He had to till the ruined field again. Fortunately, not everything was destroyed. While he initially thought that the destruction of the field had completely ruined his farming, there were quite a few surviving crops. While Sejun was looking around the field, he saw several dirt mounds about 7 meters high about 1 kilometer away from the cave. What was that? It hadn't been there before. Sejun approached the dirt mounds out of curiosity. What? There were square holes about 7 meters deep next to the dirt mounds. Judging by the 2 round marks at the start of the hole, it seemed like a horned monster had poked the ground hard and dug in. How strong must it be? Sejun was appalled by the monster's strength and looked at the highest part of the dirt mound. Only the end was a different color. It was black. Thud. Thud. Sejun cautiously climbed up the dirt mound, stabbing it with his dagger and examined the black soil. The texture was different from the barren soil on the surface. It was not dry but soft and had adequate moisture content. At a glance, it was soil full of nutrients. Such soil was beneath the barren land. If only he could turn the soil over and mix it. But in the current situation, without farming equipment like an excavator or tractor, digging 7 meters deep into the ground was an unimaginable task. It might be possible to do a little bit every day if he asked the mother crimson giant bear, but recently due to the blue moon, the territories of the monsters were shaken, making the mother crimson giant bear busy patrolling. Sejun decided to be satisfied with the fact that he now knew there was high-quality soil under the ground. Having looked around the field and returned to where he had lunch. Squeak. Growl. The black rabbit and baby bear who had been waiting for Sejun were holding each other and sleeping, apparently having made up at some point. Hey, wake up. Sejun woke them from sleep by patting their fluffy buttocks. Squeak. Growl. The black rabbit and the baby bear opened their eyes slightly while remaining in a sleepy state. Guys, what do you think this is? When Sejun brought out dried sweet potatoes and honey. Squeak. Growl. Both barely opened their eyes and asked Sejun for food. Munch munch. Lick lick. The black rabbit and baby bear woke up from sleep while eating the snacks Sejun gave them. Guys, let's work. The snacks weren't given for nothing. Growl. The baby bear, awake from sleep, dug its front paws into the ground and, like a plow, turned the soil by stepping backward lightly. Squeak, squeak. The black rabbit flattened the ground with a hammer. And then, thud, thud. The shovel rabbit scooped out the soil and made a furrow. Finally, when the small field was completed, Sejun planted sweet potato stems that he had cut from the sweet potatoes he had planted in the cave. You have created a 10 square meter sweet potato field. You have gained 20 experience points. After planting all the sweet potato stems, Sejun left the baby bear and rabbits making the field and went down to the cave. It was time to harvest the corn in earnest. Sejun began to pick corn from the field. Snap. As he broke off the corn. You have harvested well-ripened stamina corn. Your job experience slightly increases. Your proficiency in harvesting LV4 slightly increases. Due to the effect of proficiency increase LV1, your proficiency in harvesting LV4 increases by an additional 5%. You have gained 20 experience points. I wonder what effect the corn has. Sejun looked at the options of the corn. Stamina corn. This is corn grown inside the tower, full of nutrition and delicious. When consumed, it breaks down 20 g of body fat and increases stamina by 0.2 for 10 minutes. The effect can be applied up to 10 times within an hour. When consumed by a non-awakened, it breaks down 20 g of fat and improves skin elasticity. Cultivator, Tower Farmer Park Sejun. Expiration date, 60 days. Grade, D. Skin elasticity. It was vague, but he thought it would be good since the content written on the item guarantees 100% effect. Mom would love it. Sejun thought that he should soon convey his news to his family again, and this time he would also deliver his crops. It could be disappointing that his crops were being sold outside under his name, but his actual family hadn't eaten them yet. Snap. Snap. Sejun harvested the corn again. Tower floor 38. Why isn't the wandering merchant coming? Theo should have arrived by now. The hunters anxiously awaited Theo. They had received numerous requests to procure magical cherry tomatoes this time. This time, the requests were not from acquaintances but from tycoons whose wealth easily exceeded tens of billions of won. Outside the tower, rumors about the magical cherry tomatoes spread among the wealthy, and they started to eat the magical cherry tomatoes like medicine every morning. These were people overflowing with money. Scarce and good products attracted their attention, and currently, the price of one magical cherry tomato on Earth had risen to about 500,000 won. There were still plenty of wealthy people willing to pay more, but the price hadn't risen because there were no sellers, thus no transactions. If you just took out a magical cherry tomato, there were plenty of buyers. Therefore, the hunters were ready to spend money as soon as Theo arrived. But Theo didn't come. Could it be that we bought too cheaply in the last transaction, and he went to another floor? The hunters began to feel increasingly anxious. And they thought that they should spend enough money this time. They hadn't considered that Theo might be late because he was busy picking cherry tomatoes and cutting green onion leaves in the cave. Gahum. Did I lose consciousness again? Eileen would occasionally lose consciousness due to mana deficiency. She thought things had been fine lately as there hadn't been any such incidents or seizures. Eileen got up from her spot with a bitter expression. Swoosh. Here. Eileen was taken aback by the unusual state of her body. Usually, when Eileen lost consciousness, it felt like her body was forcibly shutting down to survive, and when she woke up, her body felt extremely heavy. But now, her body felt so light it seemed as if she could fly. Why is my body so light? Ah! The cherry tomatoes! Only then did Eileen remember what had happened before she lost consciousness. The magical cherry tomatoes imbued with Blue Moon's energy. As soon as she received the 5 blue magical cherry tomatoes from Sejun, Eileen immediately put them in her mouth and chewed. They were so delicious with their sweet and sour taste. While she was savoring the taste, thump, bang, thump, bang. Although it was weak and slow, she felt the dragon heart start to beat in succession, then she lost consciousness and now she had woken up. So, what about the dragon heart? Eileen hurriedly focused on her dragon heart. The dragon heart was so quiet that it was hard to believe that it had been beating. And she didn't feel any mana at all. Did I get my hopes up too much? Feeling disappointed, Eileen approached the crystal ball to observe the human. She was sure they must have been enjoying delicious food while she was out. Then, thump! Ouch! Eileen's head bumped into something as she entered the room where the crystal ball was. Ooh! What is it? Eileen flinched and looked at what had hurt her. It was the door frame. Why is that there? The door frame was approximately 10 meters away from her height, so unless she was flying, her head could not possibly touch the door frame. What's going on? Feeling strange, Eileen went to the lake where she bathed to look at her reflection. The black dragon reflected in the water was bigger than the one Eileen knew. Hey! I've grown? Grr! Eileen made a pleased noise and was admiring her appearance for a while when, hey! What was I going to do? She suddenly felt like she was forgetting something important. Oh no! This wasn't the time. Eileen rushed to the crystal ball. Just as I thought. That human was trying to eat something delicious without me. Just then, Sejun was taking steamed corn out of the pot in the crystal ball. It was perfect timing. Eileen, who always had good luck with food, felt lucky once again. Tonight's dinner was dishes made with corn, steamed corn and grilled corn. It's done. Sejun started taking out the steamed corn one by one from the pot on the fire. Just then, the tower administrator says they wants to taste the corn too. The tower administrator says they would be happy with just one. A quest has been generated. Quest: give corn dishes to the hungry tower administrator. Reward: very grateful. If declined, very disappointed. Just wait a bit. It's not ready yet. The tower administrator nods, saying they can wait. While the steamed corn was cooling down, Sejun went to the charcoal fire where the grilled corn was being prepared. The rabbits were slowly turning corn on a stick, pierced through a corn stalk, over the charcoal made from the wood the bear cub had brought. The corn was getting nicely grilled in the heat. Beside the rabbits, there was a tall stack of already grilled corn, about 30 pieces. You can stop grilling now. Squeak. Bleak. Bling. At Sejun's words, the rabbits started taking one steamed corn and one grilled corn each from their spots. And then, Sejun picked up 5 pieces of steamed corn and 5 pieces of grilled corn. Eileen, enjoy your meal. You have completed the quest. As a reward for completing the quest, the tower administrator is very grateful. All right. Sejun gave the corn to Eileen and started eating his corn along with the rabbits. The baby rabbits, eating corn beside Sejun without Theo around. Bleep. Bling. The baby rabbits tried to eat the corn, but it was still too big and hard for them to eat. Let's eat like this. Druck. Sejun took the corn that the baby rabbit was eating, scraped off the corn kernels with a spoon, put them in a bowl, and gave it to the baby rabbits. Nom nom. The baby rabbits began to eat the corn kernels from the bowl with their front paws. After a while, bleer, bleem, bleat. The baby rabbits showed their empty bowls and cried out to Sejun for more corn. They had already eaten quite a lot. Just wait a moment. When Sejun picked up another corn and turned his head to get the bowl. PFF. What is this? Laughter burst out at the sight of the baby rabbits. The baby rabbits were covered with corn kernels all over. About half of the corn kernels were eaten by the baby rabbits. The rest were stuck in their fur. Bleer. Bleem. Bleat. The baby rabbits had corn kernels all over their bodies and were protesting for more. That's why you run out. Sejun picked off the corn kernels stuck to the body of the baby rabbits one by one and put them in the baby rabbits' mouths. Blee. 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 The baby rabbits stuck out their tiny mouths like baby birds and fought each other to eat. Hey! Wait! I won't give any to a moving rabbit. Sejun sternly held a baby rabbit and picked off the corn kernels stuck to its body one by one and fed them to the baby rabbits. It was easier when Theo was here. For the first time, Sejun felt Theo's absence. He missed Representative Theo. Chapter 34, Raising Agility. TL, Hangak. Graw. The day started with the bear cubs roar again. The difference this time was that the baby rabbits joined in, crying out in a unison from inside the rabbit couple's burrow. Swish. Sejun began the morning of 185th day by adding a line to the cave wall. Today is the day the seed shop will open. Please let there be good seeds. Sejun made a wish near the pond with a devout heart while washing his face, and during that time, peep, piang, piep, piat. The rabbit couple came out with baby rabbits. Pia, pang. And the adult rabbits also came out of their burrows too. And they prepared breakfast together. The breakfast menu was simply roasted sweet potatoes and carrots. Munch, munch. While the adult rabbits quietly ate breakfast. Piang, piep, piat. The baby rabbits lined up neatly in front of Uncle Sejun. Chew, chew. As Sejun chewed on a roasted sweet potato, he cut the carrot into the size of a French fry with his dagger and gave 2 pieces to each baby rabbit. Munch, munch. The baby rabbits held a carrot stick in each hand and diligently ate, biting each carrot alternately. Sejun cut the remaining carrots and put them into 2 leather pouches he had received when he bought seeds before. The pouch was not big, so it held about 5 carrot sticks. And he made a strap with leaves from green onion and tied it to the leather pouch to complete the bag. Now you guys are in charge of supplies. Sejun hung the leather pouch bags diagonally on the bodies of the two relatively larger baby rabbits out of the 5. Piang! The baby rabbits carrying the leather pouch bags cried out proudly. Now I am the strongest. Why? Because I can take out and eat a carrot whenever I'm hungry. That's how Sejun and the rabbit started their work after eating breakfast. Swoosh! Swoosh! Sejun quickly harvested the green onion leaves. Even though the mother rabbit had returned, Sejun's speed was faster, so the mother rabbit was given simple tasks to do while looking after the baby rabbits. Today, Sejun had to cut green onion leaves and harvest cherry tomatoes and corn in the morning. The corn was harvested once more yesterday, leaving only those that hadn't fully ripened, so there was not much to harvest. Snip! As Sejun took the harvested cherry tomato branches to the mother rabbit. Peep! Bleep! Bleat! The baby rabbits seemed to be following their mother rabbit and picking cherry tomatoes. They were still too weak, so they were picking cherry tomatoes in groups of 2 to 3, and it was adorable to see them struggling to pick the cherry tomatoes. Sejun, lost in observing the baby rabbits, regained his senses and went to the cornfield to harvest the remaining corn. Pop! You have harvested well-ripened stamina corn. Your job experience has slightly increased. Your proficiency in harvesting LV4 has slightly increased. Due to the effect of proficiency increase LV1, your proficiency in harvesting LV4 has increased by an additional 5%. You have gained 24 experience points. He finally harvested a D+ grade crop, which had not appeared among the D grades so far. Its shelf life was 90 days, 1.5 times that of the D grade. It seems I've accumulated a lot of job experience. From Sejun's experience, crops of the plus grade were harvested when job experience was about halfway full. Good. Sejun energetically harvested the corn. And then, you have leveled up. You have gained 1 bonus stat. Sejun leveled up to level 16. He raised his agility to increase his working speed with the bonus stat. I have some time left. There seemed to be less work than usual today, and there was still a lot of time left even after the corn harvest was finished. Sejun decided to sow the corn seeds before preparing lunch. Sejun brought out 20 pieces of corn from the storage. From the harvested corn, he had separately selected those with pretty and well-attached corn kernels for sowing. Thud. Thud. Concerned that the seeds inside the corn kernels might get damaged if he scraped them off with a spoon, Sejun carefully detached each kernel by hand and put them into a plastic container. You have obtained corn seeds. Your job experience has slightly increased. Your proficiency in seed harvesting LV1 has slightly increased. Although there were about 200 corn kernels per corn, Sejun's work became faster as he got the hang of it, and the harvesting seeds of 20 corns quickly finished. Then, your proficiency in seed harvesting LV1 has filled up and your level has increased. The level of Sejun's seed harvesting skill increased after he had harvested exactly 3,987 corn seeds from 20 corns. I'm done. Just as Sejun, who had finished harvesting seeds, was about to stand up. Seed shop is now open. 3 types of seeds available for sale today will be shown randomly. At your current grade, you can only purchase seeds once. The seed shop opened and the seeds that could be purchased today appeared. 100 radish seeds, 0.1 tower coin. 100 cucumber seeds, 0.2 tower coins. 1,000 peanut seeds, 5 tower coins. They're all fine but... Sejun pondered while looking at the seeds. Radishes were tasty when eaten raw, but he decided to wait until he had more ingredients or seasoning to eat with them. Cucumbers were ruled out for similar reasons. I'll go with peanuts today. Sejun decided to buy peanuts. Roasted peanuts have a unique savory flavor and taste that is exceptional. Moreover, Sejun remembered reading somewhere in his shallow farming knowledge that beans are good for improving the fertility of the soil. Peanuts are beans too. Peanuts, beans that grow from the ground. Peanuts were a crop that could restore the fertility of the field on the ground. Sejun bought peanuts. You have purchased 1,000 peanut seeds. 5-tower coin has been deducted from Park Sejun's seed bank account. You have earned 50 shop loyalty points. A total of 106 shop loyalty points have been accumulated. 100 shop loyalty points have been deducted for the next grade increase. Deduction. Your grade has increased from newbie to ordinary. In the ordinary grade, 4 types of seeds are randomly shown. In the ordinary grade, you can purchase as many seeds as you want within the limit of 5-tower coins. The level of seed shop LV1 has increased. When the grade of the seed shop increased, the level of the seed shop skill also increased. Thank you for using the seed shop. You can use seed shop LV2 again after 30 days. Plunk. A leather pouch containing 1,000 peanut seeds appeared in Sejun's hand. I'll plant peanuts this afternoon. Thanks to the diligent work of the baby bear and rabbits over 2 days, the field was already prepared to plant 1,000 peanut seeds. All that was left was to plant them. Sejun looked down to grab the plastic container that held the corn kernels he had harvested. Just then, swoosh! A cute little paw effortlessly reached into the plastic container and grabbed a handful of corn kernels. They were the front paws of a baby rabbit, covered in fluffy fur. Gotcha, you little rascal. Sejun caught the back of the baby rabbit with a stern voice. The corn kernel thief was caught red-handed. Squeak! The baby rabbit briefly struggled to escape Sejun's grip, but surprisingly seemed comfortable enough to continue munching on the corn kernels in its front paws. Pop pop! With each chew, the sound of popping corn kernels could be heard. It was cute, but he couldn't let it slide. As an uncle, he could not turn a blind eye to his nephew's misbehavior. As Sejun was considering how to scold his nephew. Pop pop pop! Hey! He heard something popping from behind as well. What's that? When Sejun turned his head to look, the baby rabbits were busily eating the corn kernels he had harvested. Daringly, the baby rabbits that had been carrying leather pouches had them filled to the brim with corn kernels. It wasn't a lone thief, it turned out to be a gang of corn kernel thieves. Who said you could take this much? Hey! Sejun raised his voice and scolded the baby rabbits. He thought he needed to correct the baby rabbits' bad habits. However, what? The baby rabbits started crying as if they were wronged. They thought they hadn't done anything wrong. There was a misunderstanding between Sejun and the baby rabbits. When Sejun gave them corn, he always removed the kernels, so the baby rabbits thought that the ones in the plastic container were theirs as well. All right. Uncle is sorry. Sejun, who had become the bad guy, worked hard to soothe the baby rabbits and removed kernels from the remaining corn from yesterday to give to them. And at lunchtime, Sejun handed over the baby rabbits, who had fallen asleep after eating corn, to the rabbit couple and prepared lunch. At that moment, roar! For some reason, the mother crimson giant bear came back early after finishing her patrol. It was as if she had timed it for lunch. Surely, she didn't come to taste the boiled corn that he had fed to her cub yesterday? There's no reason for me to give her corn. Contrary to his words, Sejun quickly filled the pot with corn and started boiling it. It wasn't because he was scared, of course. The guest is king, right? While Sejun was boiling the corn, the rabbits were also preparing for the meal, stringing piranhas and gathering carrots. And then, pull! As Sejun, who was hanging on the rope, shouted. Whir! The rope went up almost as fast as an express elevator today. Hey! In an instant, Sejun was lifted 5 meters above the ground and then lowered back down. Instead of the baby bear, the mother crimson giant bear had pulled the rope today. Growl! Growl! As Sejun came up, the baby bear hurriedly sat in his place. I've been waiting quietly. Please give me food. All right, let's eat. As Sejun began to distribute the food, the mother crimson giant bear also subtly found a place behind the baby bear. And then she looked at Sejun with a longing gaze. Indeed, there might have been big trouble if he hadn't prepared more corns. Sejun thought he did well to prepare more boiled corn and gave 20 pieces to the mother crimson giant bear. Roar! As if she had been waiting for the 20 pieces of boiled corn, the mother crimson giant bear swallowed them in one bite. Chew, chew. Growl? The baby bear looked at its mother with a happy expression and asked, "Mom, is it tasty?" However, growl? The baby bear's expression slowly darkened. "Mom, did you eat it all by yourself?" Roar. The mother crimson giant bear looked at Sejun with a desperate gaze, and eventually, Sejun had to go back down to the cave and cook more corn. When Sejun came back to the surface with the boiled corn. Squeal. Roar. The black rabbit and the baby bear were sliding down the arm of the resting mother crimson giant bear as if it were a slide. "Aren't you scared?" The black rabbit, who was casually playing on the body of the mother crimson giant bear, definitely had no fear, perhaps because it was a warrior. Sejun brought boiled corn to the baby bear and finished the meal. Gulp. Thanks to the presence of the mother crimson giant bear, Sejun was able to have a quiet rest time, comfortably drinking his coffee. Roar. The mother crimson giant bear rested for a while, then got up to go on patrol again, and the rabbits also started their afternoon farming. And then, plunk. Sejun, who stayed on the surface, dug the ground with his dagger and planted peanuts. You have planted a peanut seed. Due to the effect of sowing LV3, the probability of the peanut seed sprouting increases. Your job experience increases very slightly. The proficiency of sowing LV3 increases very slightly. Due to the effect of proficiency increase LV1, the proficiency of sowing LV3 increases by an additional 5%. And a little over an hour later, you have created a 250 square meter peanut field. You have gained 500 experience points. Sejun had planted 1,000 peanuts. On the 185th day of being stranded, peanuts that will increase the fertility of the soil began to grow in the surface field. Chapter 35. Becoming a Legend. TL, Hanguk. Meow, meow, meow. As soon as Theo came out of the passageway from the 60th to the 50th floor, humming a tune. "I must hurry, meow. The humans are waiting, meow." He hurriedly entered the passage leading from the 50th floor to the 40th floor. "Is that him?" 3 silver wolves, who had been hiding, appeared as soon as Theo disappeared. They belonged to the Silver Wolf tribe. Their tribe had earned money by working as free mercenaries in the tower for generations. Now, they were on a mission commissioned by Grid, the landlord of the 55th floor, to recover a stolen item. It was an ordinary straw hat, an item that could be found anywhere. They didn't know why landlord Grid wanted an ordinary straw hat. But it didn't matter. They were mercenaries who moved for a fee. So, the only clue they found by mobilizing their entire tribe was that one of the thieves had handed over the straw hat along with other stolen goods to the blacksmith shop in the 75th floor shopping area. While tracing the straw hat with that one clue, one of the blacksmith's employees remembered who bought the straw hat. A wandering merchant cat with yellow fur bought it from the lottery corner. So, they traced the traveling merchant cats with yellow fur and learned that Theo was last seen appearing here, and they are lying in wait. "Chief Elka, what should we do?" "Let's keep following him for now." They were mercenaries, but due to the agreement between the Free Mercenary Association and the Wandering Merchant Association, mercenaries could also use the merchant's passage if they paid a usage fee. So, the 3 silver wolves followed Theo into the merchant's passage. And then, why are the silver wolves here? Geras, who was also waiting to tail Theo, quickly entered the merchant's passage. Unaware he was being followed, Theo headed for the 38th floor, where the humans were waiting. Day 186 of being stranded. After having lunch on the surface, Sejun took a nap with the black rabbit and the baby bear, then went down to the cave. And then, snip. While he was harvesting the branch of the cherry tomato. Squeak. Meep. The husband rabbit came with the sickle rabbit and pointed at the cornfield. The cornstalks were left lush with green stems after the corn harvest. Why the cornfield? Sejun didn't know whether the corn would grow back like the cherry tomatoes or if he needed to completely cut it down and replant it, so he had left the cornstalks unattended. Meep! The sickle rabbit gestured as if cutting down the base of the cornstalk in the cornfield. Oh, do I need to cut this? Squeak! The husband rabbit nodded his head. It seemed that he needed to cut it down and replant it. So, Sejun finished harvesting the cherry tomatoes and cut down the cornstalks. Snip! Snip! Sejun tied the cut cornstalks with a rope and moved them to the surface. Lately, he had been covering the area where he planted crops with green onion leaves and branches of cherry tomato plants. The reason was to prevent the moisture from evaporating due to the sun. By doing this, the watering period could be delayed a little, allowing him to spare some labor for other tasks. Pull! Growling and groaning, the bear cub pulled up the cornstalks tied in bundles of 40. In this way, a total of 139 cornstalks were moved to the surface in 4 rounds. Sejun carefully spread the cornstalks in the peanut field, taking care not to cover the areas where peanuts were planted. He then spread the remaining cornstalks widely in the field he had prepared beforehand. And when the work was finished, roar! The mother crimson giant bear came to pick up the bear cub. Growl! The baby bear waved to Sejun from atop the head of the mother crimson giant bear. Goodbye. See you tomorrow. Sejun also waved to the bear cub, went down to the cave, finished the remaining work, and went to bed. The next morning, roar! Unlike usual, it was not the baby bear but the mother crimson giant bear who woke Sejun up. What's going on? The tower's administrator reports that the crimson giant bear found traces of another monster around the cave. Eileen answered in response to Sejun's question. Another monster? Even the rabbits, who had sensitive hearing, had been quiet all night. The tower's administrator reports that the crimson giant bear thinks it's the horned creatures. Horned creatures? Upon hearing the word horn, Sejun immediately thought of the monster that made several pits 7m deep during the Blue Moon event. That's serious. Sejun first went up to the surface and looked around. Fortunately, they hadn't destroyed the field as they had before. Instead, all the cornstalks that had covered the field were gone. Wuchen Sam, Minotaur 1303, was wandering around in search of tasty grass, as directed by the Minotaur King. At that moment, sniff sniff, a fragrant scent wafted from somewhere. What's this? Wuchen Sam cautiously entered the wasteland area. This was a useless area where no one claimed territory. However, because it was no one's territory, all monsters could roam freely, so caution was necessary. The strong smell of red fur suggested that someone had passed by not long ago. Wuchen Sam walked carefully to avoid making noise and arrived at the place where the fragrant smell was coming from. Upon seeing the fragrantly smelling grasses discarded on the ground, he eagerly picked them up. The boss will praise me. Wuchen Sam, with both hands full of grass, returned to his own territory. In this way, all the corn stalks, green onion leaves, and tomato branches that Sejun had spread out to prevent moisture from evaporating were stolen. Roar! The mother crimson giant bear informed Sejun about the monster intrusion and went out for patrol. The plan was to focus on patrolling the direction where the horned creatures were spotted. With the mother crimson giant bear gone, Sejun was lost in thought. Well, let's be thankful for now. Although it was a mystery why the monster took the cornstalks and other plants that were laid out on the ground, he decided to be content that no one was hurt. However, there was no guarantee that it would be the same next time, so preparations were needed. I indeed need the power to protect myself. What Sejun thought of as a measure was the poison honeybees. He had been thinking about increasing their numbers to protect the surroundings. The number of poison honeybees in the cave quickly increased and now exceeded 200. It's still a number that is difficult to compete with a single monster, but if it continues to increase, it will reach a level that can threaten monsters. With these thoughts in mind, Sejun quietly took a seat in front of where the poison honeybee queen's cocoon was, near the rock where the rope was tied. Today was the day when the poison honeybee queen metamorphosed. According to the description of the poison honeybee queen's cocoon, The first being they see after metamorphosis is recognized as their master. So, Sejun planned to take a break from farming today and wait here until the queen's metamorphosis ended. As Sejun carefully removed the leaves that covered the pit where the poison honeybee queen's cocoon was placed and looked inside. Rustle! Rustle! The poison honeybee queen was struggling to come out of the cocoon. Hang in there! Sejun quietly cheered for the poison honeybee queen and covered it again with leaves. Sejun, making sure no one around could interfere, quietly ate dried sweet potato snacks with coffee while waiting for the metamorphosis to end, so as not to disturb the queen's metamorphosis. Just in case the metamorphosed poison honeybee queen was hungry, he also prepared honey and a branch of cherry tomatoes with flowers. And so, Sejun took his place and waited, wondering how much time had passed. Buzz, buzz. The sound of feeble flapping began to be heard from the pit where Sejun had put the poison honeybee queen's cocoon. Could it be? As Sejun slightly lifted the leaves. Flap, flap. The poison honeybee queen slowly flew up from the pit and made eye contact with Sejun. You have successfully metamorphosed the poison honeybee queen's cocoon. The newly born poison honeybee queen has successfully recognized you as the master. Your beekeeping LV2 proficiency has increased significantly. Your beekeeping LV2 proficiency has been filled and the level has increased. Flap, flap. The poison honeybee queen rubbed her body against Sejun's hand, showing affection. Then, as if she were hungry, she approached the cherry tomato flower and began sucking nectar. Eat as much as you want. The poison honeybee queen, who would protect the surroundings of the cave, sucked honey and regained her strength. This was abandoned in the wasteland. Yes, boss. You did well. Thank you. Wu Cheon-sam was very happy with the compliment from the Minotaur King. Chomp, chomp. The Minotaur King was amazed as he chewed and ate the grasses that Wu Cheon-sam had brought. Each one was sweet and tender. It was unbelievable that such grasses were abandoned in the wasteland. He wanted to send his subordinates to claim the entire wasteland if he could, but the amount of grass was too small. The amount of grass laid in front of the Minotaur King was only 1/10 of what was stolen from Sejun. The rest. Burp. I'm sorry, boss. Wu Cheon-sam apologized to the Minotaur King after burping. During the process of fetching the grass, Wu Cheon-sam was so hungry that he ate grass until he was full. Thanks to this, the Minotaur King didn't send his subordinates to the wasteland. Wu Cheon-sam, go back to the wasteland and bring more of this grass. Yes, boss. At the Minotaur King's command, Wu Cheon-sam headed back to the wasteland. Of course, since he was full, he thought he should go somewhere quiet and get some sleep first. 38th floor of the tower. 5 days had passed since the hunters were waiting for Theo. Most of the hunters had given up and left, and only 2 teams that really needed the magical cherry tomatoes remained. Do you think he might have gone to another floor? No, it's possible that there was a problem with the supply of goods. As they were considering various scenarios for Theo's absence. Humans, I'm here, meow. Theo appeared. He's here. Theo, why are you so late? The hunters welcomed Theo. Sorry, meow, I had some business. But what, meow? Has my popularity waned? Theo's ears drooped at the sight of fewer humans than he had expected. He had anticipated a large crowd for the D-grade magical cherry tomatoes he was about to showcase this time. No, everyone wanted to come, but we thought you'd be uncomfortable, so we drew lots and only we came. Is that so, meow? You don't need to do that next time. At Kim Dong-sik's words, Theo's ears perked up again. I see. Unknowingly, Kim Dong-sik told a white lie for this poor cat. Why did I do that? Kim Dong-sik couldn't understand his own behavior. Seeing Theo disappointed, he just wanted to cheer him up somehow. As Kim Dong-sik, unaware that he was gradually becoming a cat servant, was trying to comprehend his actions. The magical cherry tomatoes I'm selling today are special, meow. We know. That's why we came to buy special tomatoes. No, It's even more special this time, meow. It's a D-grade magical cherry tomato, meow. What? D-grade? The hunters, who initially thought Theo was joking, changed their looks. A high grade in the tower meant superior effects. The hunters thought it was worth the wait. Can we see the options? I want to see too. Me too. The hunters rushed to Theo to see the options of the D-grade magical cherry tomatoes in a hurry. Humans, form a line, meow. Theo lined up the hunters and let them check the options of the magical cherry tomatoes one by one. It's really D-grade. It dissolves up to 20 g of fat. The magic increase rate has also gone up to 0.2. The expiration date is 60 days. Once the hunters had checked all the options. Today, I will sell a total of 2,000 pieces, 400 each, through an auction, meow. Theo declared the start of the auction. 70 tower coins for 400 pieces. 90 tower coins for 400 pieces. Within 2 bids, the price of the D-grade magical cherry tomatoes surpassed 0.2 tower coins. The hunters called out high prices without thinking about money. The D-grade magical cherry tomato was an item that hadn't been released outside yet. Considering its rarity, this deal was a surefire way to make more than double the investment. The price skyrocketed frightfully, selling at roughly 0.3 tower coins per D-grade magical cherry tomato, and it's sold out, meow. Theo sold all 2,000 D-grade magical cherry tomatoes, received a total of 612 tower coins, and his total sales amount exceeded 1,000 tower coins. Poo-hoo-hoo. Finally, I will become an intermediate wandering merchant, meow. Now, I don't need to be scared of Park Sejun, meow. Finally, Theo could stand proudly in front of Sejun.